Good morning. Today we celebrate the second Sunday of Advent, and today, throughout the first reading and the second reading in the Gospel, there's so much about preparing for the coming of the Lord. John the Baptist is out in the desert, and people don't go out into a desert for fun. You don't go out there for luxury. You go out there because it's the last opportunity, your last chance. And so a lot of these people going out to see John the Baptist, you almost wonder if, they've had a tough life. They're kind of running out of hope. And so they hear about this prophet out in the desert who's talking about the coming of the Lord, the coming of the Messiah. And so they go out there, and what are the things that they do? They first, acknowledge their sins, and then they renounce those sins. And then later on, we see, especially in the Acts of the Apostles, how in the early church people detached themselves from the world. I guess it happened also right away by the apostles leaving their nets on the seashore and following Christ. And here in Advent, we are called to follow Christ. We're called to prepare ourselves. This week I was reading a book by Father Larry Richards. It's called Be a Man. And he talks about how he would used to go and visit the students at this Catholic boys' school he would teach at. Well, he'd go into the classroom and he'd ask the men, "What are we going to do this year, men?" And all the guys would answer, "Well, we're going to win state. We're going to, whether it's football or swimming or basketball, whatever it is, we're going to win state. We're going to take the championship." And he said, "Well, that's great. How are you going to do that?" And they go into how they got all this preparation to do. They got to do practices sometimes early in the morning, sometimes late at night. They have to, and they do that, for a couple months, hours and hours every single day. And then he says, "Well, that's great." But then in his book, he talks about how most people aren't going to be athletes, throughout their life. There's only a small window of your life where you're able to do those things and give that time, because life gets busy and your body gets old. But then he also talks about, well, what if you just did those practices for just 1 hour a week? If you just practice for wrestling 1 hour a week, oh, you wouldn't stand a chance if it was just 1 hour a week. Or if you're training to run a marathon and you just run once a week and then you're going to run 26 miles when that marathon comes, you don't stand a chance. Well, the same way goes for how we're spending our time with God. 1 hour a week is great. That's good. That's what that's the minimum requirement the church asks us to do. Come to Mass once a week. It's a little all over the place this year because of COVID. But 1 hour a week, it'll help you stay alive, but it's not going to help you thrive. That relationship with God is not going to be thriving if you're only talking to Him once a week, if you're only spending time with Him once a week. It's not saying you have to, spend an hour every day, but, just 5-10 minutes giving that to God. It's just put into focus, like, what is the priority of our life? We put so much into our jobs, into our sports, into our hobbies, so much time. I often think about how, it's such a sacrifice sometimes to give that 1 hour to God once a week. I always wonder, like, what if for the Super Bowl, which is like, 3-4 hours long, what if, like, 1 hour into the Super Bowl, it just turned off? Oh, no, sorry. That's an hour. We can only give an hour today. Sorry. We'll see you next week, and we'll continue on with the Super Bowl. Oh, that'd be crazy, So it's interesting how the time that we have to give to God seems like so much, whereas we spend so much time for our own entertainment or just, trying to put, food on the table, which that's a good thing as well. But just trying to put it into perspective, like, how are we preparing for God? We're going to spend all eternity with God in heaven. Are we ready? Are we ready for this Christmas, for the coming of Christ into our hearts? Because God's always the one that initiates that relationship. He's always reaching out to us to invite us further into that relationship. And so we just got to really trust in His power and keep reminding ourselves that it's only in Jesus Christ that we will ever be fully fulfilled. And so what if we use this Advent as a time to really prepare, to really get ready so that when Christmas comes, we can receive our Lord with so much joy and we can be at peace with Him and at peace with those around us. Advent's a great time also to try to forgive people that we're kind of holding on grudges, or maybe to seek forgiveness for people who we've harmed. It's a great time where we can really heal from the wrongs done to us or the wrongs we've done to others. And I encourage everyone during the season of Advent to go to confession, to hand that sin over to God, let Him take care of it, cleanse your heart, get rid of the burden, stop carrying all that sin around with you. Just give it over to Him. He's not angry. He just wants you to hand it over. And so today I invite you to really just kind of meditate upon how you can prepare further and further. And maybe it's clearing some things out of your life, but also just spending that time, making sure we're having that time for prayer. It might seem like you can focus really well, but sometimes you're going to be distracted in that prayer. But just do it. Just do it, and do it knowing that this is helping you prepare for the coming of Christ. Just like we prepare for sports or other things, we practice that prayer. You all have a great week. May God bless you, and have a great season of Advent, preparing for the coming of our Lord. Take care. God bless.